Hello, chess family. It's me, National Master Jesse James, and today I'm going over a very fun game where I got to destroy the Pirc. That's right, today we're going to be going ahead and attacking the Pirc from the white side. Now, I will say my opponent did not play the best idea here for the Pirc. In the opening, they make a slight inaccuracy, and I was able to take advantage of it quite nicely. But I do want to show a very nice attacking idea. And also, well, I want to go over this idea about playing pawn to f4 whenever you're playing the white side of the Pirc. It's a very aggressive idea that's going to help the rook get into the game. You're going to be able to open up the king by pushing your pawns forward, and also maybe even mess up the pawn structure to get a lollipop checkmate. Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and get to it. Here we go. I'm playing against a very strong player, 2356, and well, I start off with e4. My opponent plays pawn to d6. We got our Pirc defense over here. What's better than one pawn in the center? That's two. So pawn to d4, of course. Here, black played knight f6 to attack the pawn on e4. Here, I played the most popular move, knight to c3 to defend. And then here, my opponent played knight c6. Definitely not one of the best moves here. And here, I was very happy to play pawn to d5. This just gets a free tempo. And here, black chooses the best move, knight back to b8. Now, here, I was hoping for knight to e5 to get played because, well, I just get a free tempo. I get to play pawn f4. And later on, I'm going to be going over some other games where I play f4, which is called the Austrian attack against the Pirc. So, well, this would have given me a free tempo, so I'd be very happy about it. But he played a very good move, knight back to b8. And what do I play? Well, I like that move so much, I played it anyways, pawn to f4 here. I love this idea because later on when I castle, my rook's going to have this open file. And as you see in the end of the game, it's actually going to help me checkmate. So here we go. Black went ahead and played pawn e6. It makes sense. Definitely not the best move in the position, but it's one that they do play a lot here. And luckily, I had looked at this before, and I knew the best move to play was pawn takes on e6 here. Because if they do take back with the f-pawn, there are some weaknesses with this. So here my opponent played the move I expected. Bishop takes on e6. It's also what the computer likes most. But here I like this because later on I have my e5 ideas and playing pawn to f5 to attack the bishop. Well, we still need to keep developing our pieces, so knight f3 got played, knight to c6, and where does this bishop belong? On its best square, we go to d3. As I like to say, masters put the bishop to d3 because when it's on d3, it's going to attack on h7 over here to try and checkmate whenever the king castles. Whenever the king castles, h7 is the weakness. In fact, this bishop is going to be one of the key ideas why I was able to checkmate. All right, my opponent played bishop e7. And, well, I'm going to castle every game I can. Castles happened. And here I play a nice prophylactic move of king h1. And this is a move that a lot of players maybe don't understand. Here the idea is very simple. Whenever you do push your f-pawn forward, although it does open up the rook so you can attack, you do have to be careful because there might be checks later on with bishop c5 check, maybe even queen b6 check. And so this is just a prophylactic move, meaning we're thinking about our opponent's threats and we want to get away from it. So after king h1, I don't have to worry about this anymore. And, well, here my opponent made a very bad move and played pawn to d5. It could be good, it could be bad. It's only going to be good if I play the wrong move here, but I do know the best move here. It is white to play. What do you play here? All right, if you haven't already, go ahead and give us that like and subscribe so it will share to more chess players. All right, did you find the move? Here, hopefully nobody took on d5. They say the Potzer sees a trade, the Potzer makes a trade. Do not do this as, well, after knight takes on d5, black is equal, if not maybe better here, because after this, you see that you've lost your pawn center here. And, well, yeah, black has just demolished it, and now he's going to make equal trades. And, yeah, your kingside attack has really been halted now. So what was the best move instead? Of course, you're going to push forward. Pawn to e5, the best move here. Now the knight must move, and you can see later on we have ideas about playing pawn to f5. And this is the exact idea that I want to do. Well, here my opponent went ahead and played knight to g4 here. In fact, the computer's saying, you know what? You have to go ahead and cut your losses and go ahead and play knight e4 and lose a pawn here. Of course, no human really wants to play like this, as I would just take, and, black can trade queens here, but you're down a full pawn here, so why would anybody do this? So black went for the hope and played knight to g4. And already you do have to be careful about some ideas here. But, well, it's white to move. What do you play now? Here I want to go for that kingside attack, so I'm not going to waste any time at all. Remember, whenever you have the initiative, it is your obligation to attack. And, well, do not be afraid to lose a pawn for it if it gives you that initiative that you're wanting. So here we go for it. Pawn to f5 attacking the bishop. Now you can see the e and the f pawns are running on down the board. Here, bishop went back to c8 as there really is no other good square. And what's the best move here? Let's crush through. Pawn to f6. You don't need to calculate this. You should just know that at some point, messing up the king-pawn structure is just going to be the best idea for you. So here, black is obliged to take. I mean, if they don't take, then we will take, right? Especially because we are attacking the bishop over here. So here, pawn takes, bishop takes on f6. I mean, it was either that or the knight takes. And here I spotted a nice way to win back my pawn and even go for an attack with it. Here it's white to move. What do you play? Here it was my double exclam of the game. I got to play. Knight takes on d5 here, winning the pawn, putting my knight on a great square. In fact, the knight will not be moving here until the end of the game. And here I'm already threatening simple moves like knight takes on f6, which is nice because this is still a very good bishop to defend the king with. So here, of course, someone's probably asking, why can't you just take? Oh, come on, guys. You got to practice your tactics over here. Bishop takes on h7 check. And, well, after king takes over here, queen takes on d5 for a discovery, winning the queen. So after knight takes d5, my opponent did not want to lose the bishop, so they went ahead and played bishop back to g7. And here, well, I went ahead and developed with the threat here with bishop g5. The computer doesn't like this as much. I did this because I realized that my opponent most likely would play pawn f6, and I wanted this because I wanted to open up the diagonal over here. I was envisioning maybe bishop c4 ideas in the future. And my opponent played like I thought. He went ahead and played pawn to f6. And now I played the move I should have probably played before, bishop to f4, and now I'm attacking on c7. And here, unfortunately for my opponent, they made a mistake and got into a losing position very fast. They played knight g to e5 here, and it is pretty much now white to move and win. What do you play here? I do encourage you to push pause and see if you can envision the final idea or the final attacking phase of this game. All right, hopefully you pushed pause and tried to figure it out. If you haven't enjoyed the show, here we go. I went ahead and played knight takes on e5 here. There's really only one move that black was going to play, and he played it. He played knight takes on e5, and here was the idea. Bishop takes, pawn takes, and here we have a very strong move. The whole idea, like I said, remember, h7 is the main weakness whenever they castle. Here the idea was to play queen h5, and there really is just no good way to defend on h7 without losing heavy material. At this point, the computer is giving this a +5, and this is really nice because you see I get everything I've wanted since the beginning. Remember I said I wanted the open rook? I got it over here. It's cutting off the king's escape. You can see that my bishop is attacking on h7, and there really is no good way to block this diagonal. And of course, well, the knight is there, but it's unprized. I mean, if you take it, you're just going to get checkmated in one. My opponent really had no good moves here, so they went ahead and played rook takes on f1. Rook takes on f1. Again, this didn't really help. If anything, it just removed a defender over here. And here they just played pawn h6, trying to see if they can guard on h7. But this is very simple. All you have to do is play queen over to g6, and now queen h7. It's just going to be forced checkmates from now on. Here my opponent just jumped on the sword and played queen takes on d5. Again, there was just nothing really good to do. They're more than welcome to play something like, I guess, bishop f5. But just play queen takes f5, and you still have the threat of queen h7 checkmate. I mean, you're going to have to start sacrificing your queen, but like I said, it's just going to be forced mate either way. So after queen takes on d5, simple chess, we just go and play queen to h7 for check and mate. And this is a very fun position because there was just nothing really good for them to do. So remember, guys, whenever you're playing against the Pirc, remember this idea about playing pawn to f4. This is going to be very good because it's going to open up the rook, and it's also going to be looking about ideas about pushing the pawns forward, and you're going to try and sacrifice a pawn if needed. Maybe you don't need to in some games, just to ruin your opponent's pawn structure and open up the king. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this. We'll see you in the next video.